Every human mind is a battlefield, and most of us walk around blindfolded, shackled by invisible chains that dictate how we think, react, and even dream. These are not the obvious limitations like poverty or lack of education. They are far subtler, far more dangerous. They are psychological barriers, habits of thought and emotion that quietly sap your strength, diminish your influence, and keep you permanently weaker than you could be. If you want to rise above mediocrity, you must first name these enemies. The first is fear. Not the fear of death, not the fear of pain, but the fear of judgment, the fear of ridicule, the fear of stepping outside the invisible comfort zone that society calls normal. Fear of judgment controls how you speak, what risks you take, and even who you allow yourself to become. You avoid confrontation, suppress your true thoughts, and settle for a life smaller than the one you could lead. This fear is a subtle cage. People don't see it, yet it is often the heaviest burden. Recognizing it is the first step toward annihilating it. The second invisible chain is self-doubt. It hides in the corners of your mind, whispering lies so familiar you mistake them for truth. You're not ready. You're not enough. They'll laugh at you. This isn't occasional hesitation. It's a programmed weakness, reinforced daily by comparison, social media, and the voices of those who never risk anything themselves. The moment you start believing it, you stop, you shrink, you give up before you even begin. Understand this, self-doubt is learned. It can be unlearned, but only if you are relentless. If you train your mind to recognize its voice, to label it as a liar, and to take action anyway. The third barrier is the need for approval. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek affirmation from parents, teachers, peers, and now an endless digital audience. Approval feels like safety. Disapproval feels like danger. This need warps your actions. You behave in ways that please others while betraying your own instincts. You trade authenticity for temporary comfort. Leaders and power players never ask permission. They move according to their vision, not the applause of the crowd. Understand this deeply. Your power grows in proportion to your willingness to ignore the opinions that weigh you down. The fourth is procrastination, the silent thief of progress. Every moment spent avoiding the work that matters, the work that challenges you, is a moment spent strengthening the chains that bind you. Procrastination is not laziness, it is a mental submission to fear, uncertainty, and indecision. To destroy it, you must rewire your brain. Small actions done consistently, immediate decisions over endless deliberation, and a willingness to endure discomfort in exchange for the strength that comes from doing what others avoid. The fifth barrier is emotional dependency. People allow others to control their mood, their sense of value, and even their happiness. One comment, one rejection, one perceived slight, and your confidence crumbles. Emotional dependency is weakness disguised as sensitivity. True strength emerges when you recognize that the world owes you nothing, and your inner state is your responsibility alone. Cultivate a mind that is unshakable, a mind that reacts to events, not people, with measured clarity rather than impulsive surrender. The sixth is rigidity of thought, the prison of dogma. Many minds cling to old beliefs, habits, and narratives simply because they are familiar. They resist change even when evidence proves them wrong, because comfort masquerades as wisdom. This rigidity limits adaptability, a fatal flaw in life and strategy. To destroy it, you must challenge your assumptions relentlessly, seek information that contradicts your worldview, and accept the humility to be wrong, even temporarily, so that you can be stronger tomorrow. The seventh barrier is over-identification with your identity. You tie yourself to labels, I am this, I am that, and allow these labels to limit possibility. I am shy, I am unlucky, I am not a leader. Each label is a chain. Each is optional. Awareness alone doesn't free you. Action does. Test yourself against these definitions constantly. Break them, expand them, and refuse to accept any limitation that has been artificially assigned. Finally, the eighth is complacency, disguised as contentment. Most people convince themselves they are satisfied, that their current life is enough. But contentment without ambition is the end of growth. Complacency is the comfort zone in which weakness festers, where potential dies quietly. To destroy it, cultivate perpetual dissatisfaction, not bitterness but hunger. Desire improvement, mastery, and resilience in every area of life, even when the world tells you to be grateful for mediocrity. Recognizing these 8 barriers is not a casual exercise. It is the first act of war against the limitations that have silently dictated your life. Fear, self-doubt, the need for approval, procrastination, emotional dependency, rigidity, identity attachment, and complacency, each one a formidable opponent. The mind that identifies them is already half liberated, but knowledge alone is insufficient. Awareness must lead to action. Every time you confront fear, question a limiting belief, reject approval, act despite procrastination, detach from emotional dependency, challenge rigidity, redefine identity, or confront complacency, you chip away at the chains. This is not easy. It is not comfortable. It is not for the faint of heart. But this is the path to mental invincibility, to a mind untouchable, unshakable, and unconquered. Victory over these barriers is not a single act. It is a lifestyle, a relentless pursuit of self-mastery that the timid will never attempt. Each day, each decision, each challenge becomes a battlefield. And on this battlefield, you do not negotiate with weakness, you destroy it. Only then can you ascend to a mind that is truly free, a mind that transforms the impossible into the inevitable. Number 2, mastering the inner battlefield. Once you have identified the psychological barriers that chain you, the next step is to turn your awareness into mastery. The mind, after all, is the true battlefield. Strength does not come from external circumstances. It comes from the ability to control your own thoughts, your own reactions, your own perceptions. Mastering this inner battlefield is the foundation of every ruthless strategist, every unshakable leader, and every person who refuses to be broken by life. The first principle in this mastery is clarity. The human mind is a cluttered space filled with distractions, opinions, memories, and endless what-ifs. You must ruthlessly sift through this noise and determine what matters. What are your goals? What is your strategy? What are the things that truly demand your attention? And what are the distractions that only drain your energy? Clarity allows you to see threats before they appear, to anticipate reactions, and to act decisively. Without it, you are reacting to life rather than commanding it. The second principle is emotional control. Most people live at the mercy of their feelings. Anger, frustration, sadness, excitement. They control behavior, cloud judgment, and lead to impulsive mistakes. To master yourself, you must learn to observe emotions without surrendering to them. Feel the surge of anger, but do not let it dictate action. Recognize fear, but do not retreat. Harness emotions as tools, not chains. This is not suppression, it is control, a deliberate channeling of energy towards strategic outcomes. Emotional mastery transforms weakness into power because it allows you to respond rather than react. The third principle is self-discipline. Awareness alone does not produce results. Discipline does. Every habit you cultivate, every routine you enforce, every decision to act despite resistance, strengthens your mental muscles. Discipline is the bridge between thought and action. It is what allows a person to move forward when fear tempts them to stay put, when doubt whispers for retreat, when comfort lures them into stagnation. Discipline is neither glamorous nor easy, but it is unbreakable. It is the backbone of all psychological strength. The fourth principle is strategic detachment. In life, people, and situations, you will constantly encounter forces that seek to manipulate your perception, provoke your emotions, and disrupt your focus. To remain unbreakable, you must develop the ability to detach, to see the world as it is rather than how it affects you personally. Detachment is not apathy, it is clarity. It allows you to analyze, predict, and respond with precision. By observing without attachment, you remove the ammunition others use against you. The fifth principle is anticipation. The mentally invincible mind does not wait for events to unfold. It forecasts, it prepares, it positions. Every choice, every encounter, every conflict is an opportunity to practice foresight. Anticipation requires experience, observation, and an acute understanding of human nature. Those who cannot anticipate are always a step behind. Those who can move through life like a master strategist, turning potential threats into opportunities. The sixth principle is ruthless prioritization. Time, energy, and attention are finite resources. The psychologically weak disperse them haphazardly, attempting to please everyone, respond to every demand, and control every situation. The unbreakable mind focuses on what truly matters, eliminating noise and trivial obligations. Ruthless prioritization is not selfishness. It is strategy. It ensures that your energy amplifies impact, that your focus multiplies results, and that your mind remains resilient against exhaustion, distraction, and manipulation. The seventh principle is mental rehearsal. Every unbreakable strategist uses the power of imagination as a weapon. Anticipate potential scenarios, simulate difficult conversations, plan responses to conflict, and rehearse adversity. This is not fantasy. It is preparation. When real challenges arise, the mind has already experienced them. This reduces fear, enhances confidence, and allows swift, decisive action under pressure. A mind trained through rehearsal cannot be caught off guard. It has already won before the battle begins. The eighth principle is embracing discomfort. Strength is forged in adversity. The psychologically weak avoid pain, rejection, and challenge, and as a result, their minds atrophy. The unbreakable embrace discomfort deliberately: cold mornings, difficult conversations, challenging tasks, emotional confrontation, and the isolation that accompanies growth. Each encounter with discomfort is a workout for the mind, a rehearsal for independence, and a lesson in resilience. The more you endure willingly, the less life can ever break you. Finally, the ninth principle is reflection. Mastery does not emerge without evaluation. Every victory, every failure, every emotional response must be analyzed, understood, and learned from. Reflection allows the mind to recognize patterns, correct errors, and reinforce strategies. Without it, you repeat mistakes, remain blind to manipulation, and lose opportunities to grow stronger. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom, and wisdom into invincibility. Mastering the inner battlefield is not a one-time achievement. It is a continuous process, a daily commitment to awareness, control, discipline, detachment, anticipation, prioritization, rehearsal, discomfort, and reflection. The unbreakable mind does not wait for strength to arrive. It creates it, moment by moment, decision by decision, battle by battle. Each day becomes a training ground, each interaction a test, each setback a lesson. By mastering yourself, you remove the levers that others might use to control or weaken you. Your mind becomes your fortress, your thoughts become your weapons, and your resilience becomes a shield that no external force can penetrate. The mentally invincible understand this. The world does not give power. It must be taken, claimed, and defended within the mind first. Mastery of the inner battlefield is the prelude to mastery over every circumstance, every challenge, and every opponent you will face. To fail here is to remain a puppet of circumstance. To succeed is to ascend into a realm where few dare tread, a realm of clarity, control, and unassailable strength. Number 3. Breaking the chains of fear. Fear is the single most potent weapon that life and people can wield against you. It is invisible, it is subtle, and yet it can cripple the strongest among us. Fear whispers doubts, magnifies risks, and keeps minds chained in comfort zones. To become unbreakable, to rise above manipulation, and to assert control over any situation, you must learn not just to endure fear, but to break it completely. The first step in dismantling fear is acknowledgement. Most people live in denial, pretending they are unafraid while their decisions are dictated by anxiety, uncertainty, or insecurity. Denial amplifies fear because it blinds you to its presence. Recognize your fears clearly and without judgment. Write them down, speak them aloud, and examine them logically. Identify which fears are rational, which are exaggerated, and which are entirely manufactured by your mind or by others seeking to manipulate you. Once named, fear loses its ambiguous power. It becomes tangible and conquerable. The second step is desensitization. Exposure diminishes fear. You cannot remove fear by avoiding it. Every encounter with fear must be deliberate and controlled. Start small. Speak in a room where you feel hesitant. Take on a responsibility that intimidates you. Face a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Each act of deliberate exposure builds resilience. Gradually, the intensity of fear diminishes until it no longer controls your decisions. Like a muscle, fear is weakened through consistent conscious confrontation. The third step is perspective. Fear often arises from exaggeration. The mind imagines consequences far larger than reality. Analyze the worst-case scenario rationally. Ask yourself, what is the real impact if this happens? Can I recover? What are the steps I would take to mitigate it? By logically dissecting fear, you shrink it to its true size. Fear is often a phantom, and once its illusion is exposed, your actions become decisive rather than hesitant. The fourth step is preparation. Nothing crushes fear like readiness. Knowledge, skills, and contingency planning equip you to act with confidence. Study the situation, understand the players involved, anticipate challenges, and prepare your strategies. Preparation does not eliminate risk, but it transforms fear into calculated caution. When you know exactly how you will respond, fear loses its power to paralyze. You are no longer reacting. You are executing with intent. The fifth step is control over perception. Fear is as much a social weapon as it is a personal challenge. Others may attempt to instill doubt, insecurity, or intimidation to gain advantage over you. Recognize that fear is often projected, not inherent. Do not internalize the anxieties or threats imposed by others. Maintain control over your internal narrative. Choose what you believe about your own capabilities and circumstances. Perception shapes reality. A mind that controls its perception controls fear itself. The sixth step is adopting a mindset of inevitability. Fear thrives on uncertainty. By framing outcomes in terms of inevitability, you remove the power of the unknown. When you accept that challenges are part of life and that your capacity to act is constant, fear diminishes. You no longer obsess over what-ifs. Instead, you focus on what is and what must I do. This mindset transforms fear from a hindrance into a motivator for decisive action. The seventh step is harnessing physicality. Fear is not purely mental. It manifests in the body through tension, shallow breathing, and adrenaline spikes. Physical control, through deliberate breathing, posture, and measured movements, signals the mind that the body is capable, calm, and ready. This feedback loop between body and mind reduces fear's intensity and enhances confidence. A steady heartbeat and a composed posture communicate to yourself and others that you are unshakable. The eighth step is reframing failure. Fear is intimately linked with the dread of failure, of loss, of judgment. To neutralize fear, redefine failure as data, feedback, or a temporary setback rather than a personal defeat. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every rejection a redirection. This reframing removes the emotional weight from failure, reducing fear's grip on your decisions. When failure is no longer catastrophic, courage flows naturally. The ninth step is cultivating courage deliberately. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite fear. Like a skill, courage grows with practice. Small, daily acts of bravery, speaking truth, taking calculated risks, asserting boundaries, build the neural pathways that allow fear to be overridden. Courage is a habit, not a fleeting emotion. Over time, it becomes automatic and fear loses its capacity to paralyze. Finally, the 10th step is reflection after action. Each confrontation with fear, each decision made under pressure, provides insight into your strengths and weaknesses. Reflect honestly on what worked, what didn't, and how fear influenced your behavior. Adjust strategies accordingly. Reflection consolidates learning and ensures that each experience makes you more resilient. Fear is weakened, not just in the moment, but in the accumulation of lessons applied consistently over time. Breaking the chains of fear transforms your entire approach to life. What once would have frozen you into inaction now becomes a stepping stone to power. Fear, once a master, becomes a tool, a signal that highlights opportunity, illuminates weaknesses, and motivates preparation. The mentally invincible understand that fear is inevitable, but its dominance is optional. By confronting it deliberately, analyzing it rationally, exposing it gradually, and acting despite it, you convert one of the most dangerous psychological weapons into your greatest asset. In the world of strategy, those who control fear control the battlefield. Whether the battlefield is negotiation, leadership, personal growth, or conflict, every victory begins with this internal conquest. The chains that once held you are shattered, and a new standard emerges. Decisive, fearless, and strategically unbreakable. Number 4. Turning weakness into leverage. True power is never just about what you possess. It's about how you manipulate perception, circumstance, and even your own vulnerabilities to your advantage. Most people see weakness as a liability, a mark of failure, or a reason to withdraw. Machiavelli understood that perceived weakness could be a weapon if wielded strategically. The mentally unbreakable learn to convert their vulnerabilities into tools that strengthen their position, intimidate adversaries, and control outcomes in ways that others fail to anticipate. The first principle in this transformation is transparency with precision. Displaying certain vulnerabilities selectively can elicit trust, sympathy, or lowered defenses from others. Leaders, negotiators, and strategists often reveal minor shortcomings to distract opponents from the strengths they hide. For instance, admitting a small mistake in a discussion or conceding a trivial point may lull others into complacency, while your core position remains unshaken and decisive. The key is knowing which weaknesses to reveal and which to conceal. Oversharing dilutes power. Strategic exposure magnifies it. The second principle is preparation for exploitation. Every weakness, internal or external, offers an opportunity to adapt, innovate, and assert control. Conduct a thorough inventory of your vulnerabilities, skills you lack, traits you are still developing, or gaps in resources. Then plan contingencies. Anticipate how adversaries might attempt to use these vulnerabilities against you and preemptively turn them into opportunities. If a rival expects hesitation, practice decisiveness in high-stress situations. If others anticipate insecurity, cultivate confidence through mastery of small wins. In essence, your weakness becomes a calculated opening rather than a blind spot. The third principle is psychological leverage. Weakness can manipulate perception. People naturally underestimate those who seem fragile, inexperienced, or uncertain. This underestimation is a psychological advantage. By controlling the narrative around your vulnerabilities, you can induce opponents to make mistakes, miscalculate, or lower their guard. For example, feigning reluctance or dependency may provoke overconfidence in competitors, leading them to overreach. This is the classic Machiavellian tactic. Let others misjudge you, then act decisively when their errors create opportunity. The fourth principle is self-awareness. Understanding your own emotional and cognitive tendencies allows you to exploit them for leverage. Do you panic under time pressure? Do you doubt yourself when challenged? Acknowledge these tendencies, but rather than suppress them entirely, learn to control when and how they appear. Displaying controlled vulnerability in calculated moments demonstrates humility and human relatability, while preserving dominance over outcomes. Your inner understanding becomes your outer weapon. The fifth principle is creating alliances through weakness. Vulnerabilities can foster collaboration. By showing a carefully chosen need, you attract allies, support, and resources that might otherwise remain inaccessible. Weakness framed correctly is not submission. It is an invitation for mutually beneficial engagement. Successful strategists know how to make others feel needed, useful, or superior in specific contexts, while the real power, decision-making, timing, and ultimate execution remains firmly in their hands. The sixth principle is reframing failure. Every weakness carries the potential for mistakes, but mistakes themselves can be leveraged into advantage. Analyze each failure as data. What was anticipated, what was overlooked, and how can this insight create leverage in future interactions? By converting setbacks into lessons that inform strategy, you neutralize the damaging aspects of weakness. Opponents may perceive you as vulnerable, but in truth, you have gained intelligence that can outmaneuver them. The mentally unbreakable see every misstep as preparation for dominance. The seventh principle is selective vulnerability in negotiation. Let your counterparty sense that you are constrained, pressured, or limited, but always maintain hidden options. Revealed constraints make you appear negotiable and human, encouraging concessions from the other side. Hidden strengths, when revealed at the right moment, turn these concessions into overwhelming advantage. Weakness, framed as a limitation or challenge, becomes a lever to extract what you need without overt force or confrontation. The eighth principle is using fear and empathy together. Vulnerability can inspire empathy or fear depending on perception. Mastery lies in shifting between these reactions. If opponents believe they can exploit you, they may act aggressively, which can then be countered with precision. If allies perceive your struggle, they may support, protect, or advocate for you, creating layers of indirect influence. The duality of fear and empathy transforms perceived weakness into a psychological tool of manipulation and control. The ninth principle is building credibility through recovery. Weakness is often judged by the capacity to overcome it. When you demonstrate resilience, adaptability, and skillful recovery, your perceived vulnerability is replaced by respect, awe, or even intimidation. Competitors learn that underestimation is costly, while allies and observers recognize your strength. This principle amplifies your power through narrative. It's not the weakness itself, but how you respond to it that defines influence. Finally, the 10th principle is controlled unpredictability. When weakness is weaponized, it introduces uncertainty for others. Competitors cannot predict whether your apparent flaw is genuine or strategic. This unpredictability forces caution, hesitation, and over-analysis in opponents, giving you the advantage in timing, decision-making, and psychological dominance. By appearing human yet unbreakable, flawed yet strategic, you cultivate an aura that is both relatable and formidable. Mastering these strategies transforms weakness from a liability into a lever of influence. Every personal shortcoming, every situational disadvantage, every misperceived flaw becomes a tool for psychological control, negotiation, and strategic positioning. Those who fail to see the power in weakness remain trapped by it. Those who master it are mentally unbreakable, capable of turning obstacles into opportunities, and adept at shaping reality to their advantage. Perceived weakness, when wielded correctly, is not weakness at all. It is an instrument of power. By understanding, manipulating, and leveraging vulnerabilities, you convert disadvantage into dominance, fear into strategy, and limitation into leverage. The world underestimates the patient, perceptive, and adaptable strategist. But those who harness weakness are impossible to predict, difficult to confront, and ultimately unbreakable. Number 5. The art of mental detachment and emotional control. True mastery over oneself begins with understanding the intricate interplay between thought, emotion, and action. Machiavelli emphasized that leaders, strategists, and mentally unbreakable individuals operate from a position of controlled detachment. Emotional impulses, anger, fear, jealousy, or even misplaced compassion are the shackles that bind ordinary minds. To dominate any situation, one must first master the art of mental detachment, the ability to observe reality without being consumed by it, to act decisively without emotional distortion, and to remain impervious to provocation, manipulation, or distraction. The first principle is self-observation. Detachment begins by seeing yourself as both participant and observer. Every thought, impulse, and emotional reaction should be cataloged, analyzed, and understood. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is the underlying trigger? How will this reaction affect my strategy? This conscious analysis allows you to separate instinctual reaction from calculated response, creating space between stimulus and action, a gap where true power resides. Mental detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. The second principle is emotional prioritization. Not every feeling deserves attention, and not every impulse requires action. The unbreakable mind identifies which emotions serve purpose and which hinder objectives. Anger, when strategically channeled, can motivate action. Fear, when properly assessed, can inform caution. Yet unchecked, these same emotions lead to rash decisions. The ability to filter emotional input ensures that only useful feelings guide decisions, while destructive impulses are contained and neutralized. The third principle is anticipatory calm. Mentally unbreakable individuals practice projecting calm in anticipation of adversity. In high-stakes situations, the mere appearance of composure influences opponents, allies, and onlookers. Calmness conveys confidence, foresight, and control, subtly shaping behavior and expectations around you. Through consistent practice, you internalize this calm, transforming it from performance into instinctive response. Your mind becomes an unshakable foundation regardless of external chaos. The fourth principle is selective empathy. Detachment does not require insensitivity. Rather, it involves understanding others' motives without allowing them to dictate your actions. By observing emotions in others objectively, you can predict behavior, identify manipulation attempts, and exploit psychological patterns. The strategically empathetic mind uses insight to influence outcomes, maintaining power while navigating social dynamics effectively. The fifth principle is cognitive restructuring. Mental detachment often requires reframing reality. When setbacks occur, instead of reacting with frustration or despair, the unbreakable mind interprets challenges as data. Failures are reframed as lessons, criticisms as guidance, and obstacles as opportunities for advantage. This practice builds resilience, reduces emotional volatility, and ensures that external events rarely compromise your strategic position. The sixth principle is temporal perspective. Emotional intensity is amplified when events are viewed in isolation or as permanent. The mentally unbreakable recognize the fluidity of time and the transient nature of challenges. By expanding perspective, asking how this will matter in a day, a month, or a year, You reduce impulsive reactions and increase rational planning. Patience becomes a weapon, allowing long-term strategy to triumph over immediate emotional gratification. The seventh principle is detachment from ego. Most errors in judgment arise from attachment to identity, reputation, or perceived status. The unbreakable mind separates self-worth from external validation and outcome. Decisions are guided by strategy rather than pride, ensuring that actions serve purpose rather than appease ego. By removing personal attachment from outcomes, you reduce vulnerability to manipulation and disappointment, maintaining consistent control over behavior and perception. The eighth principle is controlled exposure. Detachment is not isolation. It is deliberate engagement. Strategic minds expose themselves to challenging, unpredictable, or provocative situations intentionally, practicing composure and measured response. Through repetition, mental resilience strengthens, habituating the mind to discomfort while ensuring that reactions remain deliberate rather than reactive. Each exposure becomes training, each trial a rehearsal for future mastery. The ninth principle is ritualized focus. Detachment thrives on structured mental discipline. Daily practices, meditation, reflection, journaling, or strategic planning anchor the mind and reinforce controlled thinking. Habits condition the brain to respond rationally under pressure, to anticipate manipulation, and to recognize cognitive distortions. Mental rituals are the scaffolding upon which emotional control is built. Without structure, detachment falters in real-world stress. The 10th principle is decisive neutrality. In conflict, the unbreakable mind maintains neutrality until advantage is clear. Impulsive allegiance, hasty confrontation, or emotional retaliation are replaced with calculated assessment. Observing, analyzing, and waiting for the optimal moment ensures that decisions maximize gain and minimize risk. Neutrality is not indecision, it is strategic patience. A deliberate choice to act from strength rather than compulsion. Mastering mental detachment and emotional control transforms ordinary individuals into strategists capable of navigating chaos with clarity. It allows you to observe without bias, act without fear, and manipulate circumstances without moral or emotional compromise. Those who fail to cultivate this mastery remain prisoners of their impulses, reacting to external pressures rather than shaping them. The mentally unbreakable, by contrast, convert every stimulus into insight, every challenge into leverage, and every provocation into opportunity. By detaching from emotion while remaining attuned to its utility, you build a mind that is both resilient and formidable. Mental control is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to wield feeling as a tool rather than a chain. In this mastery lies the ultimate advantage, the capacity to operate with relentless precision in a world dominated by reactionary, emotionally driven individuals. Number 6, building an unbreakable strategic mind. The final frontier of mental mastery is the creation of a strategic mind that is unbreakable, adaptive, and ruthlessly effective. While mental detachment, emotional control, and disciplined habits form the foundation, the strategic mind transforms potential into action, insight into leverage, and adversity into opportunity. This is the culmination of all principles previously discussed, a mind that operates with relentless clarity, foresight, and calculated aggression while remaining unseen and unchallenged in its precision. The first principle of building an unbreakable strategic mind is anticipation. The mentally unbreakable do not merely react, they predict. By analyzing patterns in human behavior, historical precedent, and environmental factors, they anticipate challenges, opportunities, and threats before they fully emerge. This foresight allows them to plan several moves ahead, like a chess master orchestrating the board. Anticipation minimizes surprises, neutralizes uncertainty, and ensures that every action is premeditated rather than impulsive. The second principle is adaptive intelligence. A rigid mind is vulnerable. Even the most disciplined individuals falter when confronted with unprecedented challenges. The unbreakable mind, however, is fluid. It absorbs new information rapidly, reassesses assumptions constantly, and adjusts strategy dynamically. Adaptability ensures survival and dominance even in unpredictable or hostile circumstances, turning every obstacle into a potential advantage. The third principle is calculated risk-taking. True strategy demands courage, the ability to make decisions where outcomes are uncertain but potential gains are high. The unbreakable mind evaluates risks logically, balancing probability with impact, emotion with rationale. It knows when bold action is necessary and when restraint serves a greater purpose. Risk is not avoided. It is measured, mitigated, and leveraged for maximal effect. The fourth principle is controlled aggression. Power is seldom acquired passively. The strategic mind engages in decisive action, wielding initiative as a weapon. Aggression here is not impulsive anger. It is targeted, purposeful, and calibrated. By acting assertively, the unbreakable mind seizes the psychological high ground, keeps adversaries off balance, and creates opportunities that passive observers fail to see. The fifth principle is mental simulation. Before any major decision, the unbreakable strategist envisions multiple scenarios, outcomes, and reactions. This cognitive rehearsal strengthens decision-making, reduces errors, and uncovers hidden consequences. By simulating conflict, negotiation, or competitive interactions in the mind, they prepare themselves for every contingency, ensuring that surprises are minimized and responses are optimized. The sixth principle is selective engagement. A strategic mind does not waste energy on insignificant battles or inconsequential opinions. Every engagement is purposeful, every alliance and confrontation calculated for maximum benefit. This selective focus preserves resources, maintains clarity, and ensures that attention is directed only toward matters that influence the ultimate objective. The seventh principle is psychological manipulation. Understanding human nature is essential for strategic mastery. The unbreakable mind leverages influence, persuasion, and subtle psychological tactics to shape outcomes without overt conflict. By framing choices, guiding perceptions, and exploiting cognitive biases, they control the environment around them. Influence is wielded invisibly. Power is extended without exposure, ensuring that strategy remains effective while opponents remain unaware of the manipulation. The eighth principle is resilience under pressure. Stress tests the limits of mental endurance. The unbreakable mind thrives under pressure, transforming adversity into clarity and distraction into focus. Through consistent practice, challenges that would break ordinary individuals become opportunities for growth and advantage. Resilience ensures that critical thinking and decision-making remain intact even in chaos, making the strategist virtually untouchable. The ninth principle is knowledge accumulation. Strategic dominance depends on superior information. The unbreakable mind constantly seeks knowledge, from historical precedents to contemporary intelligence, from human psychology to technical expertise. This accumulation is not passive. It is purposeful and integrated into daily strategy. Knowledge becomes ammunition, insight becomes leverage, and awareness becomes a shield against deception and error. The 10th principle is legacy of silence. True strategic power often operates unseen. The unbreakable mind avoids unnecessary display, conceals intentions, and masks capability. Silence and discretion amplify influence. The less others know about your methods, the more vulnerable they become to manipulation. By moving unseen, the strategist shapes outcomes, controls perception, and maintains power without exposing themselves to retaliation or scrutiny. The 11th principle is iterative refinement. Strategy is never static. The unbreakable mind evaluates every action, learns from successes and failures, and continuously refines methods. This relentless improvement ensures that skill, insight, and execution evolve faster than adversaries can adapt. The mind becomes sharper, the judgment more precise, and the capacity for domination grows exponentially over time. The 12th principle is integration of all faculties. A strategic mind combines emotional control, mental detachment, disciplined habits, anticipatory thinking, adaptive intelligence, and resilience into a cohesive system. Each element supports the other, creating a mental architecture capable of extraordinary execution. The strategist moves seamlessly between observation, calculation, and action, always several steps ahead of competitors, threats, and challenges. In essence, building an unbreakable strategic mind is the final transformation from ordinary to extraordinary. It is the synthesis of every lesson in self-mastery, psychological insight, and tactical thinking. Those who achieve this level of mental fortitude operate with precision, patience, and power that are impervious to manipulation, chaos, or emotional upheaval. The world may attempt to distract, provoke, or destabilize, but the unbreakable strategist responds with clarity, control, and calculated dominance. By mastering these principles, you cultivate a mind that is not only resilient to external forces, but also capable of shaping circumstances to your advantage. Every challenge becomes an opportunity, every adversary a lesson, and every decision a step toward uncompromised power. In this final evolution, you transcend ordinary limitations and embody the Machiavellian ideal, a mind impossible to break, impossible to predict, and impossible to surpass.